Hi there YouTubers, welcome back to my channel, Workshop Fun. Just like to post a quick update. I have now got the inverter up and running, which is great, and I've just been testing it and it's all working lovely. I've just attached a cheap extension cord to it for the moment. You can see just down there. So right now I'm running my iMac and soundbar and sound system and everything else off it, and it's working quite good. Actually, in fact, it's working very good. I have had to turn on my AC charger, but while running the computer and everything, the AC charger is just now floating. And I'll just zoom that up a little bit, and you can see here it's using 7.2 amps DC of the AC charger. So there you go, it's not using much. Now I realised today that I haven't really talked about the different sizes of cables that I've used, which could be handy for other people who are setting one of these up. There is quite a lot of cable sizes that you do need to use if you want to stay sort of safe, like really safe. But at the same breath, you don't want to overkill it too much, because that's a mistake I made a little bit. And I had to get rid of some cables because they just were not going to work in my battery box. So let's start out with the inverter's power cables. Now, the other thickest cables at the moment, they will be always the thickest cables in the caravan for anything to do with the DC. That's them here, and as you can see, they are quite thick. Now, this is a 2000 watt inverter made by Victron, of course, and it's all running right now. So what I've used is 35mm square cable for the inverter. So that is more than adequate. It should handle 200 amps constantly. Not that I'll be using anywhere near that. So that's the cable diameter for the inverter, and that will be drawing the most power. So those cables come straight out of the inverter. The positive goes through this 200 amp breaker, and then everything else goes through to the battery box. Now, as you can see here with the battery box, this is what I did, so it makes it simple for me. You got your thinner cable, and then you got your thicker cable. That's the inverter. This is the battery leads cable, and then on top of that you got 16mm square cable. Now that is for the solar chargers, or charger at the moment, but it will be chargers one day, and that can handle 80 amps continuous with 16mm square. So right now I only got 30 amps, and one day I wouldn't mind chucking another 30 amp solar charger in the equation. So over here it's the same deal. There's your red, and then you got your blacks, but they are actually reds. I've just heat shrunk some heat shrink onto each of these, but it was all the store had in stock with the bigger sizes. So yeah, that's all good though. I just made sure I used little 2-inch cuts, offcuts of heat shrink on each of the cables every so often, so it's dotted all over the cables, so you can sort of tell, hey, that's positive. Anyway, so what I've basically said is there's 3 different cable sizes for the inverter and the the charging leads that go straight to the battery, and then your solar charger. So this could be helpful for somebody else, because I really didn't have much to come and go off apart from people using humongous cables that are just totally unnecessary. So what I've used is more than adequate, and I'll just run through it again very quickly. So if you've got a 2000 watt inverter, this here is more than adequate to power it. This is 35 millimeters square, so that's your inverter cable. Then you got your battery leads, which come up to here as well. This is your main bus bar, so basically the hub of everything. That is 25 millimeter square cable, and then you got your solar charger, and that's 16 millimeter square cable. Now the inverter, I've used 35 millimeters square, but bear in mind I have used under 2 meters of it for each run. I think with the positive it was 2 meters, but with the negative I think it was a bit under, because it was a bit under, because I didn't need that length for the negative. I just needed the extra length for the positive for coming up to here. So if you started using more than 6 meters, then yes, you definitely need to step up your cable size, but you shouldn't really have more than 6 meters between your inverter and your battery. But hey, sometimes things are just not possible, so you got to do what you got to do. Anyway, so with all that said, it's been a good learning curve. I now know that you have to use different cable sizes for different things, of course, which I already knew, but I now know the sizes that are good to use, and if I ever had to set one of these things up again, I would sort of have that knowledge to carry on through. This is the AC chargers cable, and once again it comes down to a little breaker, resettable breaker, and then there's the AC charger, and you can sort of see that that's a heavy duty gauge as well. I've forgotten what millimeter square that is. It could be 8. I'm not sure though. I'd need to ask the auto electrician again. I've genuinely forgotten that one. But yeah, so they are a complicated thing to set up. For me, the complication was made greater in the sense that I didn't really have anywhere convenient to install these things and make them easily accessible, so I sort of had to make that. The backlash is I've lost some storage room, but I'm not really that worried about it myself. Some people might. Now, as I've said in my other videos, all my gear is Victron. I wouldn't have anything else. I'll see if I can get into here without getting my hand in the way. That there is the AC charger, and it's just cruising at the moment, and topping up my battery while the inverter is powering my iMac and everything. The iMac's gone to sleep, but yeah, that's pretty cool. It's quite a choice feeling when you've created it all yourself. So yeah, that's really cool. And then for those of you who haven't seen my other videos, that's me current 30 amp solar charger, and I wouldn't mind getting another one day. And you saw the 16 millimeter square cable. Well, this is where it runs to. So you got your earth, and you got a bus bar. You got your other 16 millimeter cable, which is your positive and negative, going to this bus bar. So that's just a mini bus bar, of course, and then this is your main bus bar for hooking on another solar charger, and then you got your fuse box. So yeah, it gets fairly in depth and you do learn a lot, but it's been a neat experience. And of course the solar charger, I've put a breaker on it too, and that is a 40 amp. It's a 30 amp charger, but they do fluctuate and they can peak above the 30 amps, so you've got to have, well, the Victron installation manual calls out for either a 35 amp minimal or a 40 amp maximum, and they only sell these little breakers in 30 amp or 40 amp, so I just went for the 40, and that was made easy. Very simple little things. You got this little rubber protection, and then underneath that is just where you bolt your wires to. Nice and simple. There we go. So yeah, that's my system, and basically it seems to be going really fantastic now. It's been an enjoyable lesson to learn how to build all of this, and yeah, if I could ever do it again for someone else, yeah, I probably would. The other thing I did is I just installed this voltmeter on my console. Now I know that's not really the most accurate way to keep an eye out on things, but my analog voltmeter was stuffed, absolutely stuffed, and yeah, so I just installed this, and I made this white plastic surround on my lathe, and I also made it so the voltmeter could insert into it, and then I also added this light here for my water pump light, because I accidentally broke the red light, little wee red light, when I was installing this, so I took advantage of that and actually upgraded the light anyway. It's a bigger light and it's way easier to see if you accidentally left the water pump on when you're going out. So anyway, that's pretty much my system all running, and it's really cool to sort of see it all up and running. Like right now, yeah, like I say, I'm running my computer, and the inverter's not even working hard at all. I can just hear the fans a little bit. Yeah, the cables, yeah, they're not even really room temperature. No, they're just about, yeah, they're not even, yeah, they're slightly warm, but they're, yeah, not even what I would call room temperature. So yeah, okay, that's about all for now. Thank you very much.